You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I am Michael from Arizona. With me always,
AK Mike in Texas.
And we are going to have to forgive Jay for not being able to make it to the Electric Festival this year. Unfortunately, his mom had a quadruple bypass surgery, heart surgery, and so we excused him this year because he's at home taking care of his mom.
That's like the only thing we would go for.
I know,
like
right? Anything else I would have told him, no way, you're coming. But his mom, you know, we love her, and so she's recovering and he's helping out. So, but good news is it's Friday morning. It is a beautiful day here in Arizona, and with us, as always, at the start of our podcast is Shannon Gallagher. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you very much, Mike.
And Mike. This is a special year for you guys.
This is the Big 15, the 15th anniversary of the Electric Festival, and we couldn't be more excited. And the weather is definitely cooperating. The pre-registration was robust, to say the least. And just what I've seen here this morning so far, all the planes on the flight line, guys flying, and just seeing people that come out every year. It's like getting the family back together. It's like a family reunion for me.
It really is. I see everybody and they're all like, "Hey, what's happening?" You know. So it's our 5th year of doing the podcast for the Electric Festival, and the 15th year for you guys. There are amazing airplanes out here. I think everybody every year ups their game.
Definitely. We've got some planes that aren't even showing up yet, but I've been hearing about that. We have some prizes we give away. We have some awards, and people are definitely stepping up their game so they can take a chance at winning those. It's a plaque. It's not I just want
to reach out to the gift gods there and say I'd like the fundraiser. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, so that's for the pilot raffle. That's a whole other animal. We'll talk about that later.
So. Well, there's some exciting news. You guys made the paper this year. Tell us a little bit about the Electric Festival.
So, weeks, months in advance, we're trying to get the word out. We're on Facebook. We've got our club website. I post on different community websites. I reach out to all the media, and it's hit or miss with the media what they want to cover. But the local newspaper / online. AZ Central / Arizona Republic reached out to me. I sent them pictures, told them all about the event, and they put us in the what's going on for the weekend, and we're the number 2 thing listed of things to do, even over a full-size air show.
Yes, nice. Yeah, the Buckeye Air Show's this weekend.
Yeah,
too,
and that's a great event. I mean, I'm actually kind of sad it's on the same weekend.
I know, me
love
too.
To go to it, but just to see that, and we've gotten people already started calling us, asking, hey, where you at, and can we bring our kids? And of course, this is a family-friendly event, so it's really exciting. And then we just our Facebook. I mean, I forget how many, followers on there. It's not, it's not like a big Twitter following, but just people that always, like to see what's going on with our events and keep up with it. A lot of them are the pilots, of course, but we just got families and friends that like to come out. So it's, we've definitely put the word out. Last year we had TV coverage. I went to the exact same people. And again, it's kind of luck of the draw because you can't make them come out here.
No,
but the AZ Central is online and tons of people go there. So
good. Well, we're expecting a pretty good return. There was some issues with the pre-registration, but we're hoping for a good pilot turnout.
Yeah, I mean, we have a list of everyone that pre-registered. There was we had a little hiccup with the actual payment, but I don't think it really affects it. We don't change the price or anything, but it just kind of streamlines the process a little bit. Other than that. I'm just so excited for this year. We've got some great T-shirts for the pilots, inspectors can buy them alike that my buddy designs, and the vendors we have that come out are amazing. We've got a lot of our returning vendors. We've got a couple new ones. The food is always amazing. We have
always amazing here. Food.
So and just the best part, flying.
Yeah, just seeing all the guys again. That's the amazing
Getting
part.
The band
I know.
Back together.
Yeah, it really is, and it's just it's kind of cool to see what new products people have, and who got what, and how it flies, and how they took it to their their own personal way to do things. So it's pretty neat.
Yep.
Big airplane out here this year. I think F-22 L-39 from Freewing once again.
Yeah, the Freewing stuff, obviously. Freewing's definitely been the game changer in Motion RC, the U.S. distributor for all of that. It's been the game changer in the electric jet world.
Sure.
And it's also the F4. There's a gazillion F4s
that's true.
Out here. And the A10, the F-16s, the new E-Flight F-16, that's kind of been a big deal to have. But I like to see the bigger planes. And, I'm looking down the flight line. I've got, what's that, a 100-inch Extreme Flight?
I think it's 106 or maybe 100, so 104 maybe.
You got the 100-inch Bushmaster over here. Supposedly there's a 14-foot Cessna 172. That's the sequel. I shouldn't left that out.
This will come out after it's already been here, so we're okay with that.
Yeah, and then one of our longtime participants, Barrett Hockhouse, scratch builds almost everything he brings out.
Right.
He's brought out his B-36, which is enormous.
Yes.
6 engines, 6 electric motors. Next year, he's actually going to add in he's going to put 4 of the little mini EDF fans, EDS out of the E-Flight ones.
Yes.
So it's going to be the full 4 turn or 6 turn in and 4 burn in like the real one.
Yeah.
But he didn't have time to get that ready. But it's just an amazing plane. We've got Southwest Airlines 737 on the flight line down there. Here comes the Cessna. Just talking about it. No secret now.
It's not a secret. It's
That's
out.
Big Mike.
That's Big Mike. Big Mike Calloway from California. We love him. And that's the really cool thing I love about this event is I got people from all over the country that come out for it.
Yeah. Right.
I have a guy he was driving through town. He's from Vancouver. Now, we have members in our club that are snowbirds.
Sure. But
this guy just pulled in. He's got his motorhome. And he's like, hey, I heard about this event. And I'm like, well, you're welcome. Get in here. And we were talking yesterday. He's a great guy. He's a lot of fun, and I just love we're the international Arizona Electric Festival.
Right? That is nice. Right. We've actually stepped our game up. So, and I do know that we do have a bunch of Canadian listeners. So,
great.
Maybe those guys welcome now that they Canadian. Know some Vancouver guys are down here, it'll motivate them to come down and check it out.
Yeah.
So
we welcome our Canadian
excellent.
Friends.
Yeah. So. Well, we are excited for this year. The weather seems beautiful. There's no wind right now, and the airplanes are just stacking up. People are coming from all over. Jeremy down there he's from Utah. He brought that A10 with all the lighting package on it that he did.
Really
We're going to have him on later.
Yep.
I think the Motion RC guys are here this year again.
Yes, yeah, we definitely have
bringing all their stuff.
Have them. We're missing Tony and Evie though. That's
kind of a bummer.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. But Vic and his crew are here, so I think we have Motion's very represented. So it's not.
Yes, Motion is definitely a huge part of our family.
Right.
Also, we've got some vendors that have returned from previous years that kind of took a little break. High Tech Multiplex is back out, so we're excited.
And they're flying some stuff.
Yeah, they're going to be out here doing some demos and got some cool stuff. And then
very cool.
Another of our local online vendor, but they used to have a big presence. All ERC is going to be setting up shop, and they have great deals on everything.
I could use your receiver.
There you go, like a new
right.
receiver. Yeah. Mike found out his receiver wasn't working last night, so he's got to get a new one. So
there you go. And we got local hobby shops and other vendors, but it's really
very
up.
nice.
I'm excited.
Well, it's good to see Matt and the boys and Pat and the rest of these guys all getting ready. The registration line is getting longer, I think. We need to probably run over there and register ourselves.
Yeah. Yep.
But
my staff, my staff that I work with, Pat is my assistant CD, Rick does my vendors and sponsors. Right. The list goes on. Those guys, they keep me sane.
Well, I tell you what, they do a great job every year, and super personable guys. If you're here at the Electric Festival or if you come next time, make sure you stop by and thank them for their hard work because they do a really, really good job.
And also, I don't know if you know, but I kind of took another role here with the club. I'm now the club president of the Arizona Model.
Congratulations. There you go.
So I was
don't know if I should say condolences or congratulations.
Congratulations. So.
I know that's a big job. The club that I'm up in the north side of Scottsdale, and Lou, he's one of our the president up there, and it's a big job. So
it can be thankless too. I mean,
it can be.
I know the hours that you're going to put in. I've run a couple of organizations myself, and I know that kind of hours that that you have put in, and that you'll continue to put in. And sometimes you get somebody call you and they'll say, "Wow, And he's like, throw up on you. And
Yeah.
he's like, you stand there and you smile
just
and
gotta
take
take
it,
it.
and then you move on because you know there are a ton more who aren't really necessarily talking to you, but they love what you're doing, and I know I do. I love what you're doing.
I do too.
that.
And you know what? It couldn't be a better guy because you're really good at what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we appreciate, I mean, you do a great job with this place, and the Electric Festival runs so smooth.
It does.
I know it it's probably like a duck on, sitting on the water. You're paddling as fast as you can, but on top, you look just as calm, cool, collected, and it just comes off without a hitch. So,
Right, well, I appreciate that.
and all the years we've been here, we love coming here, and it has just been a fabulous event. It's gotten better every year, and we're excited to support you on your 15th anniversary. I think
Thank you. We are
really,
so glad you're
really
here.
fantastic.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, you've definitely become part of the family.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
If you weren't here, we'd be crying, and we wouldn't be talking. We wouldn't be talking. I'd be crying, but you
That's
wouldn't
true.
hear
That's
me.
where you wouldn't hear you crying. So, well, I tell you what, let's get out there and do some flying and have a good time. This is going to be a great weekend. Hopefully,
right.
we'll catch up with you sometime towards the end of it. We can kind of do a wrap up
Sounds
with you
good.
if you're
Looking
okay
forward
with that.
to it.
So, all righty. Well, we'll appreciate it, and off to the flight line.
Yeah.
Mike, let's
Here we
go.
go. Yeah.
Well, we're back here at the Park Flyer Podcast. Welcome back. Mike, we have a guest. He has some amazing airplanes out here. They are amazing. I know because I got to fly one.
You did?
Actually, I got to fly two, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
We're with Mike Calloway. He's all the way from California, right?
Yes, that's
so
correct,
welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. You brought with you what? Some big-ass airplanes.
Yes, Cessna with roughly a 14-foot wingspan.
14 feet.
Yeah, that's big.
Wow.
Which a little twist of my own. I figured that since I've been in law enforcement,
Right.
I added the bad guys on part of it.
Okay.
I have a pilot in there with a suitcase full of goodies. I have some gold bars in the back.
There you go.
And then to hide the battery receivers, I made some crates out of popsicle sticks.
That's a good
Right.
idea.
That's
All
a good
right,
idea.
put a little money on it so you don't see the battery. Now, I was
Right.
going to do the receiver, but I was so excited to get here, I didn't get a chance to hide
Oh,
that.
that's good stuff.
So I saw a lot of people today just kind of looking at it, going wow, pointing at it and everything.
Yeah.
So I like that. Something a little different to add to the twist and everything.
Sure.
Then I have I call Big Blue. Unfortunately, it's Big Blue 2.
Right.
And so I
Wait, that's a story, I think.
yes, that is story. The last one, I had a issue with the wing, and I thought it was the Demon. I love the Demon.
Right.
I have it just about in everything I have.
No, that's a Demon Cortex, right?
Cortex.
Right. It's a Bavarian
That's
Demon Cortex.
Yes.
Is what they use.
I love it. It flew perfect. I'm not a great pilot, but it made me a great pilot.
Right, sure,
Uh-huh.
sure.
So we had an incident last year, and I decided to reset the Demon, and I didn't set it correctly.
Oh.
So I took it in the air, and it did all kind of tricks.
Right.
And I was so nervous. I should have cut it off,
Right.
which I didn't. And I tried to land what is fighting each other,
Sure.
ailerons and everything.
Sure.
And I sent it past the runway, right into the doom, head first,
yeah.
and so on. And if you see the videos from last year, you'll see doing a video of all the planes, and a little oops sign came up on the video.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that's Big Mike. If any of
Yes.
you don't know who he is,
And,
you'll see who that.
And we actually were talking about him last year on this podcast about we didn't get the interview last year, but last year's podcast, if you go back into our history, we talk about the fact that it was devastating to watch that Big Blue go into the but
head
we
first,
mentioned
too.
but he's back out with a new one, and you've got everything programmed this time.
Yes, with the help of you, Mike, because I was not going to touch it until I get a pro out here.
There you go.
And I feel comfortable now.
Right.
My partner Harry, he suggests to get a small plane for a warm up.
Right.
Because I get so nervous on the first flight, and so I get a warm up and everything. But since I've seen it flown, I'm comfortable now.
Okay.
I think I could do some good stuff out there today.
Sure. Well, I flew it without the Bavarian Cortex in it, or it was in it, but it wasn't on.
Or
right?
it wasn't on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Nor was it programmed.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So it was
programmed.
all. It was
but
completely on.
you've got all that that's coming up. You're going to have that done for tomorrow, and
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I am.
Good. Well, man, I have to tell you, I don't know who was more nervous, you or me, when you came over and asked me to fly those things. I was just like, okay. But you were an incredible builder,
Thank
you. It never hurts to fly people who can really build. I've made, I have a club kind of group that I've made tons of their airplanes, and there's always guys in there that I'm like, yep, no problem, throw it right in the air, go. I have my heart doesn't even flutter.
Right.
And knowing your building techniques and seeing how well the airplane worked, it was not as nerve-wracking as it could have been had I not known. It's very, very nerve-wracking to fly somebody's airplane.
Mike, I have a
14
secret.
feet wingspan.
I have a secret. Well, now that the plane has been flown and you flew it, I'm actually the one who said that you should fly.
Oh,
and he did. That's true. That's true. We talked earlier.
Oh, okay. I got set up, didn't I?
Yeah,
I got set up.
So,
okay, well, that makes sense.
Had it not worked out, I probably wouldn't have said anything. I'm glad, Big
now
Mike
the maiden's
did.
over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
now the maiden's
gotcha.
over. So.
Well,
thanks for making me look good.
yeah,
really,
there you
that's what
go.
you did.
I don't know. I actually wound up maiden Harry's airplane too. I
That's right.
B-24 earlier today. So.
Yes, and that was his settings were a little bit off.
Yeah, they were a little slightly off.
Yeah, I kind of got a double heartbeat myself. But an excellent pilot of you, and you recovered excellent.
Yeah,
and,
I got a little nervous when I ran out of elevator on the landing. I was like, I need more elevator. He's over there flipping switches.
I was concerned. I was concerned on the takeoff when I heard trees.
Yeah, I was a little nose heavy. So. And I didn't have very much elevator at all. I just took it forever to kind of rotate.
Yeah.
So bring us up to speed. How did you get into the model aviation industry?
Or
the hobby, I guess.
My future wife, we broke up. I was devastating.
Yeah.
A month or two go by. A little lonely and this and that. And I says, I need a hobby to redirect my attention. And I started off with helis, and I used to stay in Inglewood. If everybody remember what the Lakers used to play and perform,
Sure.
I would go out there and crash every time. It's
Nice.
like clockwork.
Okay.
No one really told me about the hobby. I just went into a hobby store. I want that. And,
Which is very common.
I won quite a bit of money, and unfortunately the person there never told me about clubs.
Right.
I didn't know. So
Wow.
I didn't. I was confused, but yet I wanted to. I got it to hover. But as soon as I moved in another direction, it was over because I never had the setup.
Right.
I just did it raw.
Sure.
And it crashed. It's about $125 a week.
A week.
A week.
That's a good way to drown your sorrows.
Yeah.
Let's not go spend $200 a week.
Well, I wasn't drinking and gambling, so that's fine. Right?
Exactly. I went into the hobby, of course, to get another set of blades and spindle and all this. And there was a gentleman there, and he was with this club in Carson. And he says, we'll come down, people will help you and this and that. So I'm a great builder. So I went down there, guy helped me, and he took it up. And he said it was smooth. The build was excellent.
Yeah,
just
it
needed
is.
the settings, right? And from there, it took off. The small one, I started off with a 600. I just had to get bigger and bigger. And I love scale. I just took off in the scale helis. I got I have 3 10-footers. And it's out of scale, and I got twists to that. I got pilots that wave.
Nice.
My display is just off the hook. I mean, 2 big displays in there.
They move around.
So, I have. I made the first one as a tourist. So I have a husband and wife and a child looking at a map.
Nice.
Very nice.
The helicopter.
It looks really cool.
Did you crash that one?
No, I have not.
Good.
That's good news.
But the first scale that I did do, I did win the 2013 AMA static competition.
Oh,
first
very nice.
place.
No kidding.
And that was the very first scale. So I was at
Wow.
that point,
You
I
were
was
hooked.
Yeah. I was hooked.
Yeah.
Wait,
I said,
we are in the
wow.
presence of.
I know greatness.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that
I did not
amazing?
know that.
I didn't know that either.
Wow.
No, y'all doing too much now. But it really took me off and everything.
It's rubbing off on him.
I really took off in the hobby, and our field, the first field I did was OEMC, which is I think it's called Irvine Lake.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Most of the people there was in planes. I was nervous, and I always stick to helis. But I look across the field, there's a whole row of planes, and most of the friends with that. So I decided to get into planes. But again, stunts, no. But scale is my thing.
Okay.
And so and bigger is better for me.
Sure.
I fly
14
well.
feet.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a small guy to begin with,
No,
so
that's true.
I understand bigger's better.
We want to scale it together. Right? Scale it together.
Scale everything. We want it Big Mike size.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
Maybe Motion RC should use that, or Northwest RC should use that.
I just love. I watch videos in Europe and Germany that has the big liners and everything.
Right.
I want to get to that point.
Yeah.
And I feel that bigger. I do decent flying, and I'm not I really upside down or anything. I want to do exactly what real planes do as they bank around and do a flyby and they're landing and take off. That's what I'm into and so on.
Right.
I try to find the best lighting system. Found out there each bird has a great lighting system. You can see it in the daytime, but at night it's just off the hook.
Right.
You saw the video of last. It's a little short clip, but you see me walking it back up and the lighting system. You can see that the landing gears, you can landing lights. It's just far out.
It's beautiful.
Sure. Yeah. It's really nice.
So I'm going to interrupt you a little bit. So when you were flying the plane today, you had a little boom box, and I was like, "What is that?" And then all of a sudden I hear, and I don't know what your tail numbers are, but all that it was kind of spouting out the numbers and stuff, and I was like, no way, that's just wrong. And I don't know if that's just IX12 that does that, or if it's just because you had sounds playing at certain times during the thing.
No. It's on a switch, and I did some research, and I don't know about real pilots, but there's a soundtrack that I did. I put it on a.
Yeah, we have Lima. Is what
is Lima? Yeah. So I found the soundtrack, and it's on the lever. So just before you take off, it's the tower talking back forth to the plane. Ready to take off, clear to take off, stand by. No, I said ready to take off, stand by. We have traffic. To ready to take off and initial takeoff.
Nice.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
We did have a little static today. That.
Well, it's 2.4 Bluetooth.
Everybody was on their phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so, but when I'm at other fields, you can hear it throughout there. And oh wow, this is really. But that's me. I like the realistic to it. I like to add the little twist. Maybe not my style, but a style that everybody says wow to.
Right.
And just like the Cessna, how I added the extra twist to it and everything. That's what I like. I like people to talk about it and remember the job. Like I said, I'm not the best flyer, but I'm a scale flyer.
Yeah.
Sure.
I like that bangs. I like the landing.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. Well, lucky for us, we do have a Facebook Live page, so I was able to get some of the little pilot guy and put it on Facebook. You'll see that it should be posted. Special suitcase. Got the little cash and the gold bars and the whole thing. So it was pretty funny. It was awesome.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll get some comments. So if you're listening to this, go back onto our listeners page, look for that little video, and check out Mike's great work. So
it's good stuff.
But, so anyway, we are excited to see you fly these airplanes because honestly, you've flown the Tucano before the other one too, but this one's fairly new.
Yes.
I flew it. It is amazing. It's got great power. The airplane's very stable. Like I said, I didn't even really think it needs the Bavarian, Cortex, which is the gyro system.
No. That's the Spectrum in the.
Oh, the Spectrum. I said the Cessna's in the Cessna, but both. The Cessna didn't really need it either, and it flew very scale.
Okay.
That Cessna has way more power than it needs,
which is perfect.
Yeah, when I powered it up, everybody actually commented on the fact that I pulled the power back to take off, because I was getting to full, and I thought, wow, that's just too much. So I brought it back to half, and I did the whole flight at half throttle.
Mike talked about making it scale, and one of the things I've been around a couple of 182s and 150s and some smaller planes, and what I really liked about this particular plane was that when you powered it up, again, if you closed your eyes and weren't looking at what you were seeing, you would have thought that there was a 182 powering up down the runway a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, really sounds fantastic.
It does, and a lot of comments on it. Too.
Yeah. I mean, someone said, "Wow, that sounds real." It's like, it's.
Matter of fact, it was funny because standing next to me was another pilot, Barrett Hawkhouse, who we've interviewed before, and I was coming down the runway, and that's what he screams out: "Full scale, full scale!" Oh, never mind. Sorry, that's Mike flying. They were kind of making a joke, but
it was fun.
It did look very scale.
And somebody's like, "Is there a full scale on the because you can see it off in the distance.
Yeah.
And it really does. You don't know how far it is.
Right.
Distance issues, and it really does look full scale when it's away.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
now this is the World Models makes this, right?
Yeah, that is correct. And so on. I checked back on the line. they don't have any more in stock, so I guess I
Right.
got the last couple of them.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that.
Did you say couple?
I'm sorry. As in other people bought it.
Oh,
Okay.
No.
He's got like 3 more at the house.
I thought he was like Jeff,
Right,
buying
yeah,
2 or
two or
because
three.
Jeff buys world models. He loves it. I don't know if you heard us talk about him before,
No,
but
really?
he when he buys planes from world models, he buys them 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah, 2 or 3 kits at a time.
because they're not going to make parts for him, right?
Well,
In your case, they did, right?
They did, yeah. They got a
But
whole
but
fleet of
but
it.
Jeff's mind is I don't think they're going to make parts, or they may not make parts for it by the time I get to it, or by the time I fly, or whatever, right? And so he buys 2 or 3 just to have parts.
Well, that's all from before though. When he first
That's
started
true.
flying,
That's
he
true.
crashed one.
Yeah, it's true.
And then he was like, "I'll just buy the new kit instead of
And
repairing."
Jeff is completely self-taught, if I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
mistaken.
He is.
He got a simulator finally,
Good
but
job,
he's pretty completely self-taught.
Really?
Yeah.
Planes, I was self. Helis, I actually did the simulator.
Yeah,
And it did work and everything. Other than the crashes and not setting
Yeah,
up.
well, of course.
But I learned.
It's a pretty steep learning curve. I mean, today, unfortunately, you walk in any hobby store, E-Flight has something you can just grab out of a box, go to the park, plug in a battery, and boom, you're gone.
Yes.
And I really wish that we would take more time to introduce the clubs. The EMA, does a really good job of being online and kind of getting the word out. But I think there's a lot of consumers that just go in, kind of like yourself, and they say, "Oh, I want to get into this hobby. How do I do it?" If you'd have known about a club, your money
Still be
would have
paying,
you'd still
yes.
be flying, and your skills would be better, and the whole kind of thing. So we love to have guys out like you that kind of have those stories, and that's kind of what we do. Is our little mantra is that's discussing the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer or RC Park Flyer. But it's kind of neat to have new guys, and we learned that way too. They didn't have simulators when we were 30 years ago. We just kind of jumped into it, and it was control line or whatever,
Right.
So we had to learn the hard way. But I have an advantage because I'm a full-time, my pilot full-time. So it's a little bit more easy for me to understand it. It took me a little bit to kind of figure out the coming back to me, but the actual flying was not that big of a deal.
Well, I have an advantage because I know a full-time pilot.
Well, that's why I pick your brain, and I apologize if I ask a lot of questions.
No,
knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'd
right.
love to hear the knowledge
Yeah.
and see how things work and suggest things and everything.
Absolutely.
And it appears to work because I ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
throughout my
That's not a
career.
problem. And the more questions you ask, the better informed you're going to become. And then, just attending these events or, staying with your club,
I agree.
you learn a lot. I mean, it's funny because, in different circles, I have different, I don't want to say status, but I just have different skill set.
Right.
So I have a park flying group that I fly with that I'm at the pinnacle, I'm the test pilot for all the guys,
Okay.
but there's another group that I fly with that I'm not the best pilot, pinnacle guy.
Right.
I'm way down the shelf, even if I have really good skills. I'm still, there's guys that I look up to that I take my airplanes to Maiden, that I say, hey, really take this out. We have a couple of those guys here, but yeah.
It sounds hard to believe. I have saw the last 2 events. I have saw you flying. Hard to believe.
Yeah, there's Tim Hanstein, a couple of Spencer, a couple of these other guys are really good at what they do. But they, it really depends on the skill. I'm not as good of a 3D flyer as some of these other guys are. From a scale perspective, I probably do much better.
Yes.
The guy earlier, Ernie Mack, he was here when we made in the Takana. He's an IMAC guy, so he's really good. His son's a world champion. So I look up to those guys, and I learn a lot from them when I hang out with them. So my skill level consistently gets higher and higher.
Right.
So, but yeah, man, we are looking for a great weekend with you and Harry both. I'm excited as we wrap up the day and then get in tomorrow that we man, we want to see you fly these things.
Oh, well, it's going to happen today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we'll then move forward from there. And I'll probably ask you guys to be co-pilot.
Yep. I'll be more than happy to.
Yeah, and you can bet tomorrow when you're out there, if you're not pushing that out there, I'm going to be out there. It's like, why aren't you flying that? So just know tomorrow you're going to get that from me.
And I will be happy to stand with you because I just got done with Harry's flight. He flew his, right? And came in for landing and said, okay, I don't want to do this. And he handed me his radio, so I had to come in and land the airplane. But he handed it to me with like 15 seconds to
left
go.
on the battery.
Oh, the battery? Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, you got to give me some time.
Harry's a pretty conservative guy. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more than that.
I know there was. Yeah. And there was actually a lot of battery left with yours too.
Well, which is really surprising, especially with Big Blue too. 60-80%, I think.
Yeah,
and,
you guys flew after 3 or 4 minutes.
3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to do another 3 minutes just to make sure that the battery is consistent.
Sure.
No, good idea
too.
With that, and then the Cessna was actually at 50 something, I think, 57 or something like that. So same thing, just to be on the safe side. Now I know where my average is, then add a few more minutes to it. But I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm kind of proud of how everything turned out.
You should be.
Yeah, you should be.
You should be.
However, we did dial the expo back a little bit, right? Because that was surprising to me. With that.
I have
surprising.
Oh yeah, and so on. Big Blue 2, I took the numbers from there, and I have some just how I fly, or I don't move the stick that much, or one of the two, and I grease landings. My turns are great. People are very impressed. So I just found out, per se, even if it's the exact same plane, it's flying
different.
Character. It's different, and you have to adjust to that. So
Sure.
I just learned on that, and so versus using the same numbers.
Good.
So that was very exciting when I flew to Tucano, came in there, and I just got where I thought it was, and I just eased the stick back, and the airplane just went whoop right in the air, and I was like, whoa, what happened? And he had a little bit higher expo than what I normally fly with, and it just was deflecting it a little more. So 2 of those till I figured out where it was, and then I didn't touch the ground, but on the third little, that's where it goes up. I just came back and landed it. So, but
and it was greased it.
And it's got brakes, so that was easy because even I came down the runway a little further, I was able to stop it. I didn't run it off the end, so I was happy about that.
So, I'm a great fan of brakes, and if I can find the right one for the Cessna, and which probably don't need it because as soon as it touched down, it looks like it almost
it
down
did, that big of an airplane.
Right.
So the Cessna weighs how much? You said
roughly, I think between 32, 35,
36 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's pretty heavy. It's got foam wheels.
Which we're going to switch out.
Honestly, they worked really well braking wise. I mean, when I touched down, it rolled out. There was hardly any.
Well, I did notice on the takeoff it was pretty good too. I guess once you get going, the foam doesn't really make a difference. It took off really good.
And it's nice because it's very low. There's no bounce. There was no nothing.
Right,
but of course, I could have been the pilot. I don't know. But, no, I'm just kidding. It was probably the equipment. I always blame it on the equipment all the time. So, well, man, we are going to get back out to the flight line. Mike, thank you very much for stopping by and talking to us. We are always excited to have you and Harry and see you guys both come in from California. We appreciate you making the trip. And, man, you're just going to be a hit with our listeners.
So before we wrap up, are we going to get in trouble from the FCC?
Why?
Well, we got mics on the mics.
Oh, that's true. We got 3 mics on the mics.
Oh, wow, that's right.
It's a Mike and Mike show.
Is that illegal?
It's not illegal.
Okay, good. Okay.
So all right. That's why everybody calls me by my last name, Calloway. So it changes everything.
Changes there. There you go. We got Calloway.
Not this group.
Nope.
Not this group.
No, it's Mike.
So it's
Mike.
It's
Big Mike.
Big Mike, AK Mike, and then just
AZ Mike. Yeah, okay.
That was good.
Good stuff.
Well, let's head back out to the flight line. Mike, we appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much, and we're going to watch you go fly.
That sounds good.
Perfect.
Thank you again.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael, and with me, always, is
AK Mike.
And we just got done with the night fly. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Both of us were doing really good.
Come on. I wasn't doing that great, but we had fun.
We did have fun.
That's
we grabbed our
important thing.
walrus, the night walrus, the one that last year we brought it last year and played the stealth game, but Jay wasn't with us this year, so we didn't participate in any stealth activities.
No, we didn't.
Well, I take that back. I flipped it off a couple of times, but
I didn't do that.
But Mike didn't do it. So, and then we flew the little cracked yak with the lights on it too, right up until I broke my prop and had to replace the prop. So, and I found out that I didn't have any of the regular props. I only had reverse props.
That was weird. I didn't think you'd be able to use those, but then you figured out a way to do it.
Yeah, thanks to
was that Pat?
Yeah, Pat Gagnon. He suggested we just flip the wires and run it backwards like a yak, like a true yak. It turns to the right now instead of to the left.
I thought that was cool.
I thought that was kind of cool too. Now, it kind of messes me up when hovering and everything because it rolls faster one direction than the other. It's the opposite of what I'm used to, but it worked out, and we were able to fly it, even though I didn't have a normal prop with me.
You have a crap load of those reverse ones anyway, don't you?
I do. Yeah, actually, that came from when I made a big order from Buddy RC. They had a sale on these propellers.
Right.
I didn't realize that it was for a quad, basically.
Oh.
So it was the forward and reverse one for the quad one
okay.
side.
Yeah, I get it.
And they come as a pair, and they were only $1.
Mm.
So I was like, wow, $1 for 2 props, man. I got to get those, So I think I mentioned that in another podcast. But, yeah, I wound up ordering like $20 worth of these things. And then I realized, oh, man, these are all reversed, So,
but you can still use them.
Now I figured out how to use them.
So you can use them in a regular plane too then, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd use them in anything bigger than that little 32-inch yak.
What's the real rub there?
I don't know.
Doesn't seem like there would be.
No, I don't. I guess there wouldn't be.
There's no rule that the motor has to turn counterclockwise, is there?
No.
Other than that you need it that way or whatever it is, clockwise or counterclockwise for the regular props. But so it doesn't matter.
If you had a reverse prop on there. I mean, it's no different than the counter rotating props. They do the other direction too. So, but and the Russian airplanes all turn that direction anyway. So they all turn the opposite way of most U.S. airplanes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that could be a scale feature on a bigger plane.
It probably could be if you could get it running backwards. I'll have to talk to Big Mike, see if he'll let us run that prop backwards on the big Cessna.
We'll have to get a reverse prop first.
Oh, yeah, I guess we'd have to do that, too. So, wow, this day went by fast.
Yeah.
Could not believe how fast this day went by.
And it was gorgeous all day.
It was, and the temperature was good. We actually shed our jackets from yesterday. It was freezing yesterday.
Yeah, it was cold. And windy.
And windy. But luckily we got some chapstick and some sunblock and went out there and did a whole day without a cloud in the sky.
It was beautiful.
Got to fly most of the jets, and wow, these maidens today were kind of crazy too. I know we posted some stuff on Facebook Live of Big Mike helping him maiden.
Well, so we had a great day. I mean,
we did have a great day.
We talked with Mike, and that was good,
Yeah.
and he did a good job. And I enjoyed watching all that take place and hearing what he had to say about his planes and what they did and how that's good stuff.
So he brought that big 14-footer Cessna. That thing is just crazy big.
It is big.
And I will tell you, after flying it, it was amazing.
You could put a little dog in that thing. I'm serious about that.
You could put a little. Actually, my little silky terrier, you could sit in there and fly around.
Luigi, you put Luigi in there. That'd be funny.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, we could put the Luigi in there, and he would fly around. Probably wouldn't like it very much, but he could fly. He'd probably try and jump out, and it may change the CG.
Yeah, that's true. We'd have to strap him down.
Yeah, he wouldn't like that either.
That squirrel, that's on the internet. He could definitely do it.
Yeah, you could do the squirrel. Definitely do. Absolutely. And the B-24, it flew today as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that was pretty exciting. I flew a couple times, actually. I think Harry flew that second time around.
Yeah.
Yep. I flew it the first time, and he's a great builder as well. And I don't know why he decided to ask me to fly it, but I guess he just felt comfortable with me.
Sure.
And probably your input over there as well this morning when you were watching them put it together.
No, it's all good. I mean, I really like the gaggles.
The gaggles were cool.
Yeah, so they had the jet gaggle, which was very cool. Yeah. And then they had the little mini gaggle, which I always enjoy watching that. In the last time, I think there was like a pretty stiff wind, and everybody was like, the whole idea was like, who could fight the wind the best?
Right. Yeah.
And this one was more like actual flying around, and there was a midair.
And there was a midair with UMX airplanes. That was amazing. I mean, we were all sitting around watching it, and it was just hilarious because, they're all flying around. And then next thing you know, you're like, I think Shannon or somebody said, we want to see a midair. And everybody laughed, And about 2 minutes later, it was like whack. And it was a Cub and something else, like a T-28 Trojan. and the Trojan ran into the Cub, ripped the wing off the Cub, and then continued to fly and hit a pilot who was down on his knees putting his battery in his UMX. And I saw him later on. He was walking around and he had parts in his hat too. You know, they were like, "Hey, I need my parts back," and they were pulling T-28 parts
That's
off
funny.
his hat. Yeah, it was great. They had a good time. Everybody was laughing, and luckily the UMX are small. You know, they don't really
Right.
hurt or anything.
Right.
They're made as foam, but yeah, it was a great time. The jet goggle was really good too. They actually broke it into two different parts.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So they had a 70 millimeter jet goggle, which had a whole bunch of people in there, and then they had the 90 millimeter jet goggle. And unfortunately, I was over on the other side of the field. I didn't get back to my airplanes to join the 90 millimeter jet goggle, and then I realized I don't have any 90s anyway, so it wouldn't have worked.
Well, I thought it was interesting because, you say 70 and you say 90, and it's like that's not that big of a difference. But when you looked at the planes, the size of the planes,
sure,
how fast they went, et cetera, it was really obvious.
Yeah, it was obvious.
Yeah, the difference between the 70 and the 90s, and I think it seemed like the bigger planes had cooler stuff. Like some of them had the whistles in them, so that when they come by, it's making the noise, and that's pretty cool. And I felt like the bigger ones sounded more realistic.
Yeah, they got a bigger motor. Yeah, the whooshing sound.
Yeah,
and they had lights. There was a couple F-22s that had lights out there. Hopefully, we'll talk to Jeremy tomorrow and get his story on how he put these lights in these airplanes. Because that's a really neat feature to have the formation lights all LEDs light up green.
Exactly.
They were flying those tonight at around dusk, and it looked amazing. I don't know if I'd be putting my 90 millimeter jet up at darkness with just formation lights, but some of those guys. I know that Barry and Spencer actually fly their L-39s at night.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see that tomorrow night as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
it. And then Pat and I both flew our A-10s together, full of ordnance. That was pretty good.
Pretty cool.
So we had two F4s and two A-10s. And he and I were flying low behind each other, kind of one after the other. And the F4s were flying high cap over us, doing their thing. And one of those F4s has the, what do they call that? The
Mr.
Sound. Yeah, it has the Mr. Sound. And he had it all cranked up, and it sounded really good coming by. So it was a good time, and Pat and I both did this, kind of not formation landing, but we landed close enough behind each other that we kind of roll out together, so it looked pretty good. But they looked awesome with all their ordnance packages, and doing the whole wing, over Cuban 8 coming around, and somebody in the background was always like rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat, or they're making this
guns,
sound,
guns,
whatever.
Yeah, that's funny.
So it was pretty funny that we're like, go to guns.
Yeah, it was good. The realism that we've seen, and even what Big Mike talked about in terms of what he did on his plane and all the specifics that he did there.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. I mean, that's, to me, I didn't really there wasn't really something I had looked at before. This is my second year here,
right?
And this time I can really appreciate that more. You spent a good amount of time making wear marks on your A10.
I did weathering it.
Yeah. Weathering it, yeah. And I thought that was really cool. And Jeremy's layout was really cool too.
Yeah,
how he did that. But this is stuff that I, before this moment, I didn't really have any appreciation for. So it's like, I'm busy trying to figure out how to fly this thing. I don't have time for all that stuff. Is it scale or not? I don't really care.
Right.
I just want to, can I fly this T-28?
Sure.
Am I going to crash it into the ground?
That's
funny. So, but now, as I've come along, it's because, wow, that's pretty interesting stuff. I don't have time for that still, but it's a lot more interesting to me.
Yeah, sure. No. Well, there comes a time when it looks good in the air. I mean, a lot of the sport jets, a lot of the, just regular 3D type airplanes, they don't really have a flair to them as far as, when you see a warbird that's fairly close or it looks realistic. That Cobra flew today as well, and that thing has been in the movies. It's truly amazing. And, it used to be a turbine. He converted it to electric, and now he flies around. Just that thing is so scale looking. And it's got a moving map display. It's got, all the pilot's heads turn and the arms move or whatever. And so, it's been in the movies where you can actually watch a movie scene and you think you're watching the real thing, and in reality you're watching a model. So I have appreciation because, believe it or not, Mike, I grew up from a very young age basically building plastic models as well.
I see.
I mean, until I was probably 10, 12 years old, I was part of a model club. I got a model every month, and I had, the airbrush and all the stuff from testers. I mean, I would spend a lot of time making these things look as realistic as I could, at 10 years old. But probably not as good as Spencer does it, because he is like, it's got to be perfect. He's got big, pictures of the undercarriage and everything on this airplane. Every antenna has to be in the right spot. He's got static wicks on his little Lansing, F-16 jet, for crying out loud. But I had a better appreciation since I've gone to some of these bigger jet rallies of the time and energy these guys are putting into making their airplanes look more realistic.
Sure.
And to be able to make a foam airplane look fairly real. I got a lot of comments today on the A-10, looking very good, weathered-wise. And I'm lucky because I had actually, tweaked the nose on that one and had to repair it. But with the weathering, it's really not totally obvious. If you stared at it or kind of looked it over, you could probably see where it's kind of been re-glued. But,
right.
But everybody was kind of like, wow, this looks really good. They're kind of dirty airplanes. And my wife and my brother were kind of watching me as I was kind of doing some of that stuff this week. And, my brother's like, I can't believe you are spending all this time making your airplane look dirty, but having people come by and express the appreciation for the amount of time and energy that I put into that to make it look more realistic is very rewarding.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's interesting because I saw one that was didn't have weathering plane, and I looked at it, I was like, okay, this looks like a really nice plane, except for I can tell it's fake. Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And it was like having the weathering on there. I didn't think it was like, quite frankly, when I saw you doing it, I was like, really, Mike? That's what you're going to spend your time doing?
Right.
And which is basically what Richard and your wife said. Yeah. And so, but then I looked at this other plane. I was like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
Because you look at it, it's like his plane looks fake. His plane that didn't have the weathering, it was beautiful. I mean,
just like it came out of the box.
He had all the details in the right place. I mean, it was beautiful, but it looked like a model as opposed to the real thing. And I think the other thing is, when you look at these planes, and the size of these planes are fairly significant. They're not small.
Sure.
And you put them up against the backdrop of the mountains that are there. If you're not looking at the ground, do you have any perspective? It looks like the real thing flying in the sky. If you had a video camera zoomed into that thing, you would think it was an A-10 flying by.
Yeah, and sound-wise too, because it sounds, sounds very similar to the
run.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I should have figured out how to shoot BBs out of it or something, with some smoke. I know that there's some guys that have done that, but
airsoft.
Yeah, the airsoft.
That's pretty cool stuff.
Making the smoke come out of it, but yeah, it's really amazing to me, especially. Jeremy and some of these other guys that have put even more effort. I mean, I did a lot of weathering on mine, but at the same time to break down and do lighting kits and formation lights that come on or, dim or turn on and off. I mean, there's a lot of modifications that these guys have started doing. And some of the paint jobs out there too were phenomenal. And to be able to have that kind of skill and just my appreciation for what they did, it shows kind of the level at what people have kind of risen to with these styrofoam, they're not styrofoam, but they're EPP type, EPO type models. And it's great that somebody like Motion RC or, Lansing or whoever provides E-Flight, they all provide these models that people can kind of go in and then modify and paint, or kind of make the airplane their own, and actually do a good enough job that people comment.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of good comments on my L-39. People were like, "Wow, who makes this model?" And every one of them, I was like, "It's a free-wing model." They're like, "They do?" And I'm like, "Well, I custom painted it." And they're like, "Oh, well, that makes more sense," And if you haven't seen the color scheme, I think it's on our webpage and our Facebook listeners group as when Philip came in. I think he took a couple of really good photos of it. And so it's all complete and, looks really good. And I've had a lot of people come out to the flight line when I was flying it, just like, wow, that thing flies so stable and it looks really good. So that was the only thing I didn't have today, but hopefully tomorrow they'll have the L-39 kind of gaggle.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a jet gaggle, which had a bunch of little ones, but I really liked it last year when they did like the Avantis, and they all flew the Avantis up there.
That's pretty.
Because it really looks neat when they're all flying around. And this year, because we've got so many different L-39 paint schemes, I think it would really look good if we all got to do it.
That would be cool.
Well,
you ought to approach them and see if they'll do that for you.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody will. I didn't look at the schedule for tomorrow. They actually posted one, and I didn't see it. But maybe they do have a L-39 gaggle or a motion gaggle or whatever. But
well, I mean, I think you just squeeze them in, like it says jet gaggle, and you go ahead and squeeze yourself in.
Yeah, it'd be kind of slick.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to fly. Jeremy's got that Russian version, and I think there's one or two others that are laying around that look, kind of different paint schemes. So I think it'd be kind of cool to go there.
Okay, so one plane that hit you today that you liked. Yours don't count.
Well, no, I can understand that. One plane that hit me that I really, really liked. You talking jets, or are you just talking the?
I have a plane in mind, so that's why I'm asking the question. You were walking through, or you were just looking at planes in the air, and you're like, I really like that plane.
So
what struck you today, I guess, is what I'm looking at.
All right, so I've just started flying the larger scale stuff, and so the Cessna, I probably, if I had to say that airplane to me, even though it's a civilian, 182, the level of detail that he put into that thing was phenomenal.
It was great to hear him talk about it.
Yeah, and to see that. He's putting it together all morning, and then to actually be able to fly it myself, I think it was a phenomenal aircraft.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would go out and buy one, but I thought if anything struck me like, wow, that would have been the airplane, I think.
Okay, so for me, and I talked about this with you, but I talked to the listeners too, is I love that Fun Racer.
That's true.
I really did.
Yeah,
it's a zippy little guy, and I think I went online or whatever. I think it was the Weekend Warehouse. You could find it at, and I think it was like $200 or something like that. And although that's a lot of money for a plane, it's not terribly a lot of money. I mean, it's not extreme size, and I believe it came with everything ready to fly except for receiver, maybe shipping. So to me, that seemed like a pretty. When I look at these planes, I look as like, can I get this home in my bag?
Right.
Like, I don't want to have to ship it separately. Can I, because
well, they may ship it to you in a box.
Well, yeah, but I'd like to bring it back, right? I mean, I'd like to fly
right now.
Yeah. So I look with that eye. It's like, does this plane travel? Because I like it. I like my Walrus because it travels. I had them on it.
Sure.
But it travels. And same thing with my Phoenix 2000, right? And I have a dinky old other plane that it's not even worth mentioning because, it's a kind of plane that I think people might buy, but in the end, they look as like, oh, that's too slow.
Yeah.
It looks kind of dorky. But
well, the airplane we're talking about is a multiplex it's a high-tech / multiplex.
Yeah.
It's one of their new airplanes I think they came out with. It's called the Fun Racer. And the Fun Racer, the funniest part about it is that every time the multiplex guys came out to launch it, they launched it inverted.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it got inverted, as soon as it started going, and it's not a slow airplane, right? It's a zippy little airplane.
Yeah, it goes fast.
And he'd launch it inverted, and then as soon as the airplane started to level out, he'd roll it upright and just hit the throttle and just skyward, Yeah,
that was Tanner. He really can fly that.
He can really fly that thing awesome. So, but I can see how you were kind of excited about that. That was a really good looking airplane.
Yeah, it looks good. It flies good.
Right.
I probably fly it a lot slower than Tanner was flying it.
Sure.
But just the things he could do with it. And not that I have any dream that I could get, to that point, because I'm sure he spent, lots of hours in front of the simulator or whatever he did to get to that point. But again, it travels. It's a foam plane. It's smaller. I'm pretty sure it's a 2200, which is right in my alley.
It's right in your wheelhouse.
Yep. Now he might have been running 4S in that one, but I don't. But
he might have been.
But
it was moving, so he probably.
But if I remember right, when I talked to them, it could take 3S too.
Right,
So all that stuff's well within, as you say, in my wheelhouse. So that's kind of. But now I have a couple of Warbirds sitting in my closet, waiting to be built, and so I have a Texan and I have some other ones.
There you go. Well, what struck me about this particular day today as well is, electrics have always been smaller, type airframes. I mean, there's guys out there that have the 48 and even a 60 inch, and I have a couple 60 inch. I even have my Cub, I think, is right around 89 inches or so. But once you get to that point, anything over that, you start really fighting with the economics of, do I want to spend, hundreds of dollars on batteries
for four batteries,
four of those to fly 7 or 8 minutes,
or even less, right?
Or less, or do I want to spend $1,000 and get a DLE or a DA 100 or 120 and be able to fly 18 to 20 minutes?
Sure.
And then, of course, I could put 2 tanks in there nowadays because of the size of these things, and I can fly for 45 minutes. My neck gets hurt.
Yeah.
But
bring 3 friends.
Right. And hand the controller out to everybody. All right, 5 minutes for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what struck me today walking around the flight line is that I know last year Tim Hanstein over at Northwest RC, he brought the big 120. And I think it struck a chord with a lot of guys here because this year, just today, I saw at least 5 106-inch electric airplanes.
Wow.
And they were out flying them. They were amazing. It's just up the game. I mean, they're starting to figure out battery motor combos. Big Mike, both of his airplanes were gassers technically. Actually, believe it or not, his Tucano, I saw fly the same exact airframe in a turboprop 2 weekends ago at the Winter Warbird Festival.
Wow.
And so, I do know that airplane, having flown that one too, it flies phenomenal, but I do know that is a turbine style turboprop with an actual turboprop, jet engine in it that is set up that way, and he did it with an electric motor, and it sounded awesome.
Yeah,
sounded awesome.
That's crazy.
So, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow or Saturday. I'm looking forward to Saturday when these guys come out there, and you're going to see probably a couple more bigger airplanes because there's still more people coming out. I think I can't remember how many registered pilots that they said that were here, and then they've got some more people that promised to come in tomorrow. I think you'll see more jets, more EDFs. So I'm excited about tomorrow. I got, high hopes for everybody coming out. A lot of spectators, I think, too.
Yeah. I see. We were here Friday. Yeah. We were here Friday, but it was
Thursday. Today's Friday.
No. I mean, we were here. I was talking about last year. We were here on Friday.
Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday
Friday
night. Right. So, I think the Friday this year was more attended by spectators than the Friday last year.
I agree with that.
And so it's going to be a huge amount of people tomorrow. I think, and I'm looking forward to just seeing what that's about and how that's going to be there and enjoy it. It's great talking to people who are spectators. Honestly,
oh my gosh, really we spoke to the motorcycle club that rolled in here. Man, these guys were just like, "Yeah, we heard about it. We just kind of came in, and man, they hung out next to our little booth for like an hour. It was awesome talking to these girls. The girls were having fun. The ladies were laughing. The guys were really interested in all the jets. And being spectators, during this kind of event, most of the guys have to stay on the other side of the fence, so they can only spectate. They can't really come in and be around the airplanes and see them.
Exactly.
So I brought the big A-10 over to the fence and let them kind of touch it and feel it, and ask questions about it. And it was kind of good to, be able to interact with those guys. And they were big, bunch of good, really good group of guys. Then a lot of spectators on the other sides. I didn't get out to vendor row as much as I should have, but I did wind up buying a generator this year. So thanks to Rick, he's always got some cool product that he's all like, hey man, I'm trying to get rid of this,
Yeah.
I think last year we bought stuff from him too. Pretty much he's hitting a home run every year with one of his.
I zipped my pockets before I went and talked to
him. Did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
That's funny. That's probably pretty smart because I didn't really but he's got a great sales technique too. Like, hey man, that guy just bought the last two. I got one left, and it could be yours. And I'm like, oh, I gotta have that. It was pretty good time. But yep. So I got a little handheld generator thing for the RC trailer, so that's gonna work out. The day was long, but the day went by so fast.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. And unfortunately, we wound up flying the night flight till it was just you and me. We were the last two holdouts.
Yeah.
We flying the Walrus was a little bit better.
Well, it wasn't nearly as cold either.
That's true. It wasn't. So I did have to put a light jacket back on after a couple of flights. But
it was a light jacket.
It was a light jacket. Yeah, it was much better today than it was Thursday night. So it was much better. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think we probably ought to call it a night and hit it again tomorrow. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. So we'll try to get some more of our vendors out and talk to those guys. And Shannon did a really good job managing everything this particular day, and no mishaps. That was another good thing.
Yeah.
I didn't see any major. We did have a couple of rollovers, guys that kind of went off the side of the runway and just kind of dinged their airplane up, but nothing. I take that back. There was a helicopter that went in. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Pancake flat, that one.
It did. Yeah, I've seen a lot of crashes, but that helicopter one was parts went everywhere.
I was amazed though that they walked back with a majority of that thing.
Oh yeah, at least 80% of it.
Yeah, I was really impressed.
For as hard as it hit, watching the parts.
The parts go flying everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, but they had like 5 or 6 guys, so I think each guy saw where that one part went.
Yeah.
They all ran out
for sure
there.
He lost the boom and.
Well, he actually recovered the boom. They found it.
Did he?
Because
he just brought back the cage and the propellers, which I thought was amazing too. That those didn't even break.
No,
I don't know.
If I'd use them.
I don't know if I'd use them after that, but
I don't know if I would.
Yeah.
But it was a T-Rex 700, so it's a large size. I mean, that thing's pretty massive. And he was doing some pretty good 3D tricks with it. But
just slapped the ground.
Yeah, he just misjudged. I think he was looking too close. Thought the ground was lower, and when he hit it in a little bit higher spot.
Mm-hmm.
But it made a horrendous noise, and wow. All I could see was 12 cell just going up in smoke, but that survived too. So
it's just crazy.
How that worked out, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the helicopter
nice cage,
didn't
right?
Yeah, it did.
Whatever you had for a cage.
So it was all carbon fiber, I think. And then the only other major mishap we had was the F4 that caught fire. I don't know why it was smoking, but I think he overran his battery.
Oh, okay.
So he was out. As a matter of fact, I was flying the L-39, and he started yelling that he had an emergency, that he didn't have, I have no battery left, and couldn't get the gear down, so he belly landed it in, and it wound up right in the middle of my pilot spot, my box where I was flying, and it was difficult because I'm trying to fly my L-39 and watch his smoking airplane at the same time because it was pretty close to me. And I was like, if it starts on fire, I'm running, I don't want that thing burning. I won't be able to see.
Well, it'll start spitting too, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I was worried about this big flame out right in front of my box. But he got it off the ground. I think he disconnected the battery pretty quick, and I'm not really sure what happened to him. But I think he was out flying later, though. So maybe he maybe saved it. But
I didn't get to see any of that.
Yeah. But anyway, it was pretty interesting. And then, like I said, we only had a couple that kind of just rolled off the Panther or F4 or whatever it was, the little jet-looking thing that rolled off. He actually hit the throttle and it just kind of veered off to the right and kind of flipped off the runway. But he was working on it. I think it'll be flying again, Saturday as well. Okay. So, but yeah, let's call it a night, man. We'll head out tomorrow and see what we can do, and
gonna be exciting.
Yeah, having fun so far.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Me too. So, well, thank you for listening to this version of the Park Flyer podcast. We'll probably see you in 2 weeks for the next day. We usually drop, one on one day, and then 2 weeks later we drop episode 2 of it. So from I'm Mike here in Arizona,
and this is AK Mike in Texas, in Arizona.
That's right, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.